Welcome. This is James Duerr with the James Duerr Show and the 7 Steps of Financial Success. We have a very special guest. We always talk about, if you have safe money and you do the James Duerr 7 steps, that you're enabled to get to step 7. And step 7 is enjoying life. And part of enjoying life is giving back to the community, is giving back to tithing to the church, giving back to nonprofits, working in nonprofits, volunteering in nonprofits. So we wanted to have one segment here and many segments. So if you have a nonprofit, reach out to me. You can send me an email at money, M-O-N-E-Y, at jamesduerr.com. You can listen to us every Saturday at 10 a.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer here in San Antonio. But in addition to San Antonio, our reach is quite broad, all the way down to the coast and out the east and west of San Antonio and north up to Austin. So we're going to talk about giving back to the community. We're going to talk about a very special nonprofit, and it's called the Incarcerated Women's Advocacy. And Lohanda?
You got it.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Just what is IWA, as you call it?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
I am so appreciative. I'm a little nervous. Hopefully your fans will be very patient with me, but we are so grateful for the platform.
You're welcome.
In regards to IWA, Incarcerated Women's Advocacy, what we do is we support women. I always tell people we are a reentry mentorship program approved by TDCJ, which is your Texas Department of Criminal Justice.
And that's probably not easy to get that approval.
Oh, it took a really long time.
Yeah.
A long time, but you know what? There were so many people in support of it because we do have a plethora of programs out there, but not so much for targeting women specifically.
In incarcerated women.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So men, a lot of people, the family members will visit them, but women is less likely?
Very less likely, and that's one of our taglines, reducing recidivism one visit at a time. I noticed that when women are incarcerated, overwhelmingly, there was very little response to them. Men are incarcerated, they get a lot of support, a lot of visitation. When it comes to visitation day, the family come out, it's like an event. You go to the prison or the facility and it's like a club, it's like a line wrapped around. And women, it's just crickets. It's like a tumbleweed just flew right by. They're really not physically supported in that way.
Sounds like a lot of depression could happen for women in prison.
Absolutely. And you have to understand too, for many people, they'll tell you when you're in jail, that is probably the lowest time of your life. And to have to do that completely isolated and alone, without knowing where your family is, it's challenging. And I always tell people 60% of women actually are the head breadwinners. They had kids. So to also do your time and not know where your kids are has got to be scary.
Okay. Well, why did when did you have this idea to start this incarcerated women's advocacy group, where your mission is to visit women in jail? I don't know if jail's the right word now, or incarcerated, or how do you?
It is. Well, jail and prisons are slightly different. Jail is usually where you go if you are in holding, if you're awaiting a sentence. Yeah. Okay. Usually you're serving a year or less. Prisons is also the place where you go if you are in fact convicted of a crime, and you typically have more than one sentence, and you're not awaiting trial. You actually have been convicted.
So that's your focus group.
Our focus group is actually anyone who is behind bars, whether it be a jail, correctional facility, or prison. Anyone who is behind locked doors, and they are finding themselves not visited, and we're here for them. We're here to visit them while they're in prison. And I think that's what separates our nonprofit for a lot of other ones that are out there. IWA, we do focus on women while they're incarcerated.
Okay. And to help their reentry, you want them to get out and then start a new life and not reenter prison again.
Absolutely. It's resocialization is what it is. So what you're finding is when you are able to sit down with them and be motivating, be encouraging, you're able to reestablish confidence. You're also able to reestablish positive beliefs so that if they should be transferred to a prison, or if they should finally receive their trial date, and then maybe they're able to leave, and or regardless of the outcome, you need that motivation to get through it.
Okay. So for volunteers, you're looking for volunteers
Absolutely.
for visiting.
And that's every weekend. So that's some of the things people ask, well, how can we help volunteers?
About just women or men and women or?
It honestly, great question. I get that a lot. Well, can men visit them? Is that appropriate? Absolutely.
Okay. So how do they contact you if they want to volunteer for IWA?
Well, it's Incarcerated Women's Advocacy, and that is incarceratedwomensadvocacy@yahoo.com.
Okay. And
our website is iwa-incarceratedwomensadvocacy.com.
Okay, great. Mm-hmm. So why should the public care? This sounds like a stupid question, but I want the public to understand why should they care if women are, they did something obviously wrong. They're in prison.
Yeah.
They should pay for it, blah, blah, blah. So why should people visit?
That's a great question, and we also get that a lot. I tell people what people may not be aware of is 60% of women who are in jail right now have not been convicted of a crime.
Okay.
At all. Uh-huh. They're in jail awaiting trial.
Oh, okay.
And they can't afford bond.
Oh, there you go.
So, and unfortunately, these are women who are head of their household, unfortunately. So they are a single parent. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that's why they're in jail to begin with.
Yeah, 60%.
And 60% are in jail because they cannot afford bond. Okay. And the ones who are convicted of a crime, overwhelmingly for women, it's usually low-level crimes such as marijuana possession or a property crime, which is basically shoplifting.
Okay.
So they're not high-level crimes that people are envisioning. So when I tell people, or when people ask me, such as you did, how and why should we help? A lot of times they're for mistakes that many of us have committed and maybe didn't get caught. Yeah. You know? So it would,
there's no admitted of guilt here, okay? I know you're trying to catch me, get me caught there, but that is important because, that's, not only do you have a percentage of people who are waiting for that have been convicted of anything, and they're in jail. It could be very depressing, and you're their support group. And whether they're guilty or not, everybody deserves a second chance. Everybody deserves support from the community. And like I was telling you the other day, I have a good friend over in Austin, and he hires people who are on probation. Wow. And he finds that they are the best employees. So I'm sure, I gave you his name earlier, and
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll reach out to him. Mm-hmm. But that's if we want to really address the problem, we want to make positive efforts toward that, and that's what you're doing with Incarcerated Women's Advocacy. Mm-hmm. And we if anybody wants to volunteer for that, you can go to their website, iwa-incarceratedwomensadvocacy.com, and reach out to Lohanda.
Yes.
And make sure that she has the support, because this is hard doing the nonprofit. And you've just started how long ago?
Oh, since June, and it's been a beautiful journey. A lot of people, such as yourself, giving us your platform to speak on it. Just things like that have been so encouraging.
And you've gone the right directions for setting up this nonprofit. You got the Texas Department of Corrections approval. And it's just and it doesn't really cost anybody to do it. It just costs their time, right?
It's just, I always ask for three things: volunteer. Mm-hmm. It's on the weekend, so it's convenient to one's schedule. The closest facility is Lockhart. So Lockhart is in Lockhart, Texas, which is about an hour away, hour to 20 minutes
very
away.
Close.
Yeah. So if
you can get barbecue at the same time.
There you go. Make a nice trip of it. The second thing we always ask for is what I spoke to you about, our employment network. We also want to be able to be an outreach for women once they're released. And it's so difficult for women who have a felony on the records, anyone to have a felony on the records to get employment. So if you know of any employers who don't mind someone who has a criminal record, we would love to partner with them as well. And then the third, of course, is financial donations, because we also want to be able to help women find housing. And a lot of people do not want to rent to convicted felons. And if they are able to overlook it, usually the security deposit is triple the amount, and they can't afford it. So that's where the homelessness comes in. So we would love to be able to extend that type of financial help as well.
Oh, great. So what is the largest hurdle you see in helping incarcerated women?
I think it would be the stigma. A lot of people, you know, life is very difficult, and I feel women may have a different set of standards when it comes to being able to handle those challenges. A lot of people view women as knowing better, and we tend to be judged a little bit more harshly. So when it comes time to requesting help for women who are at their lowest point, who are incarcerated, many people feel like, well, you know, I'm not doing that. You know, they deserve to be there. You know, women should know better, you know, and then she's a single mom too, and how dare she be such a horrible mom, you know? So it's difficult to garner this sympathy, I would say, to doing that. And I try to turn the conversation back to why it would be beneficial, which is the resocialization that it creates. It builds up their confidence, it keeps them motivated, and it's those components that makes them better, because these women will be released. You know, we're not talking about the serial killer and, you know, Mr. Jingles, Mrs. Jingles, like she is going to see the light of day, and she's going to be your neighbor, or she's going to be your coworker. So you would want to invest in the common good of people.
And it sounds like, of course, we need donations to help nonprofits like yourself, but we just need time. We need people to donate their time just to give that emotional support that, that maybe it's a mentor. I mean, they can mentor the people, and that's I'm just so excited about when we got to meet you. Just so excited. I want to have you on the program just to let people know what you do, and there is a way to help the community and the people who've gone to jail and want to have a new life. So, thank you so much for being here. I look forward to having you on again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, James.
Thank you.